Tonight, Republicans forced to defend former President Donald Trump's controversial comment while discussing economic tariffs that there would be a bloodbath if he lost the 2024 election.
Now, I suspect that most people think that Donald Trump has threatened that if he were not elected in November, the country would face a bloodbath. This was in a speech he made on the 18th of March in a rally at Dayton, Ohio. From initial reports in Australia, I thought he'd said that if he weren't elected, the country would face a bloodbath. A check of what he actually said without an auto cue was this. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans and you're going to sell those cars in the US? Well, we'll put 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those guys if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole industry. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it, but they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive big factories there. Now, according to the former long-term editor of The Australian, Chris Mitchell, this was edited by the Democrat-aligned media group ASIN to read, simply, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. Chris Mitchell says several senior American journalists approvingly retweeted the edited and wrong version. But according to the Orange County Register, which doesn't like Donald Trump, Trump was appealing to auto workers with a promise to keep the American car-making industry competitive by imposing very costly tariffs on imported vehicles. So Trump was suggesting that if he loses, the American car manufacturing would be completely removed. It would suffer drastic economic consequences. Well, they said, standard Trump economic populism with standard Trump hyperbole, which they disapproved of. The former editor of The Australian, Chris Mitchell, says that a Democrat-aligned media had changed Trump's 17 seconds to 9 seconds so that Trump would be saying, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath. And they repeat, that is going to be a bloodbath for the country. And that was the line put out by much of the American media and then echoed around the world, including in Australia. But it wasn't what Trump said. It's clear that much of the United States media have, at least since his emergence as a political force in 2016, they've become not a free press. They've become, instead, the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, in Australia, let's hope that the greater part of the Australian mainstream media begins to report the truth about Trump and also the truth about the Albanese government.